Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Michelle. It's nice to have you here. I would like to say this: there is nothing that Jesus cannot change, there is nothing that the blood of Jesus cannot cleanse. There is no sin too dirty, there is nothing too filthy, too dirty that the blood of Jesus cannot cleanse. I don't care what you have done. There is no sin too great for God to forgive, except we all know it is written in the Bible, blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. But apart from that, there is no sin that God will not forgive. So don't ever allow the enemy, the voices in your head, to tell you you're too filthy. God will never love you. God will never forgive you. God will never accept you. That you're irredeemable. Don't ever allow anyone or anything or any voice to tell you you are not redeemable, that you cannot be forgiven, that you cannot be cleansed, that you cannot be loved. Jesus has so much love in his heart for you. Jesus has so much love in his heart. I don't care what kind of sin you're in. Just imagine when Jesus came to the earth, he did nothing but love humanity. He was praying for people, he was healing diseases, he was being compassionate, he was feeding 5,000, 4,000. He was doing nothing but the Lord's work. He was loving on people. Yet when he was being crucified, they were saying, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. A normal person would have been so angry, would have been so vengeful. But what was he saying on the cross? He was saying, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. That's the kind of heart Jesus has. So Jesus is waiting for you with open arms to love on you, to change you, to transform you, to cleanse you with his blood. The woman at the well, she was like promiscuous in a way. She had several husbands. But do you see how Jesus treated her? Jesus like forgave her. Jesus spoke to her in such a loving way. The woman that was being stoned because of adultery. Do you remember what happened? Jesus said, he who has no sin should cast the first stone. So he has so much compassion. He has so much love for you. And there is nothing that you can do that can make him like hate you. You see? So no matter what, I don't care how far you have gone. I don't care how many people you have killed. I don't care how many tattoos you have. I don't care whatever you have done. God can still save you. Jesus can still save you. Jesus will still love you. The blood of Jesus is sufficient to cleanse you, to wash you, and to make you brand new. So, as you listen to this testimony, this is me being raw and just being raw about my past and the things that I experienced and the things that I went through. And we're going to see how all that happened. And I also understood why I went through the things that I went through. It's so that I can have a heart of compassion. So I used to really wonder, why is my life so traumatic? Why have I gone through so many things? And later on, I came to realize I went through all these things so that God can use me as a vessel to reach out to all these, like the different things that I went through. I can reach out to people. I can be compassionate to people who have gone through the exact same thing. So I'm able to cater to this one, cater to this one, cater to this one, because I have experienced almost everything. If it's single motherhood, if it's the promiscuity, all these things that I'm going to talk about, I have experienced them all. And it was for such a time as this where I could walk in purpose, for where I could actually take up my mantle and start doing ministry and start, reaching out to young people, reaching out to the people who are going through the same, who are broken and all these things. So I'm sorry for the long introduction. So let's start in my early childhood. In my early childhood, there used to be sleepovers as children. And when I say sleepovers as children, I mean like under the age of 10, between 6 and 10 years old. So I used to have sleepovers. I used to go for sleepovers in different houses. I'm not going to mention specifically where. I would go for sleepovers to houses that had girls or children my age. So there's this one time that I went for a sleepover, and It was me and this girl who is around, they're around the same age, and we were sleeping, and then at night this girl started to do weird stuff weird stuff in a sexual context, sorry, and it was really weird to me. And she kind of started teaching me this stuff. She was teaching me. It was not really serious because we were very young, but it was sexual. So it became a habit. It became a habit. So every time I would go there for a sleepover, it became a habit. It happened for quite some time, some years, not too many years though. So that was the first time I had any kind of sexual encounter in my life. So before I went to high school, because I had already been introduced to some kind of sexual activity very young. I don't know how it happened, guys. I don't know how it happened, but I started masturbating. I can't remember if I ever watched it anywhere because the memory I have of being exposed to porn is much later in life. So I can't. Maybe it's my memory, but from what I can recall, I had not been exposed to porn. Maybe magazines. I don't know. Back then there were magazines, so I've already been introduced to the whole lesbianism thing as a child, and then now masturbation has been introduced, and I became addicted to it. Who taught me? I have no idea who taught me. I went to high school, and I went to high school. Funny thing, in high school, I was never involved in any lesbianism activity, which is quite interesting. But I was heavily involved in masturbating. It was like a bondage, a very strong bondage upon my life back then. We finished high school. I reconnect with friends because when I was younger, I had some friends, and so these friends, the female friends. So I had friends before I went to high school, and I was much younger. So when I went to high school, because it's boarding school, we lost contact. So when we reconnected, we started talking, and I remember they came and visited me. And when we were talking, I realized I am the only virgin. Like all of them, none of them was a virgin. I was the only virgin. And it was really weird to me. I was like, how can I be like the only virgin? Do you have a boyfriend? I was like, yeah, I have a boyfriend. I was like, how can you have a boyfriend when you're a virgin? And I was telling them, I do have a boyfriend, but I'm not in a hurry to lose my virginity. And they're like, oh, it's enjoyable. You should try it. So they left. When they left, I was left with like their voices in my head. Like their voices were in my head. You should try this, you should try that, blah, blah, blah. And I was really thinking about it. I was like, maybe I should try it. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should not be a virgin anymore. So when I went to visit my boyfriend at that time, he was much older than me. I told him I don't want to be a virgin anymore. And he was very surprised because he had tried to initiate sex before, and I would say, no, 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 I don't want, I'm a virgin, I'm a virgin. So when I was the one that said, let's do it, he was really surprised. And I insisted, and so it happened. And so I lost my virginity. So after I lost my virginity, I became more curious. I think I became more curious about sex. I don't know if I started watching porn before I lost my virginity or after, but I remember one of my friends taking me somewhere where they had these DVDs. Back then, there were DVDs like pornographic DVDs, and we would watch them, and we would learn and learn and learn, so that we could implement what we were watching. Now, the same friends introduced me to drinking. So they were all drinking, they were all going out, and me, I was staying at home and stuff like that. So after breaking my virginity, the next step was, okay, after breaking my virginity, there was porn. And then now there's the drinking. I had never drunk alcohol before. I'd never been to a nightclub. I had never partied. So I was like, okay, now it's time to start drinking and start partying. And that started. And then there was the bleaching. So I felt now I want to be more beautiful. I want to be prettier. And I already talked about bleaching in another video. But if you haven't watched the video, my My mother, my biological mom, is light skin naturally, and I am dark skin naturally. So whenever she would visit me, or whenever people who don't know us, who are not related to us, would see us, they would be like, "Oh, your mom is so beautiful. Like she's her skin is so light, she's so beautiful. Why not? Why are you dark skin and your mom is light? Your mom is so pretty." So such comments would get to me. I even remember where a relative, much older relative, made a comment about the my skin being dark, and these comments got to me. So I started bleaching and I started using makeup. Yeah, I would get a lot of attention. Okay, so and then so I've started practicing sex, and you know what, as a young person who is sexually active and does not have the proper information, of course I got pregnant. Yes, I got pregnant. So when I got pregnant, I was really scared, and I was like, I can't do this. And I went and talked to my friend. She gave me an idea. She gave me an idea of where I can basically get an abortion. At first, the idea really scared me, and I was like, no way, no way, no way, no way. It was really scary. And it was really scary. When I got pregnant, that boyfriend of mine, something happened, and then he was I found out that he was still involved with his ex. I think he also got his ex pregnant at the same time or something. It was really something, a lot of things were happening, and I was just forced. I was like, you know what, I'm too young to be dealing with this. So I decided to get the abortion. So that's when I got my first abortion. I wanted to go to law school, and my grades were good, but I failed in one subject, which is Kiswahili. So I needed to get a high grade in Kiswahili. The grades that were needed, I got the good grades, but for this particular Kiswahili subject, I didn't get the required grades. So I was told I need to do bridging and stuff, and that would be kind of expensive. And to be quite honest, back then my parents really took good care of us. We got most of the things that we needed, we did get, but university was very expensive, and they couldn't take me to university to do law. But I understood, that's how life was. But I wanted to be a lawyer back in the day. So I went to different colleges. I decided to just join, like, after being boohoo about, oh, I can't go to law school, blah, blah, blah. I got over it, and I started doing college. I would start a particular class and I would not finish. I had this habit of starting things and not finishing them. Like, so I would start going to. I said I wanted to do CPA. I wanted to do CPS. I tried human resource. All these things I was starting and not finish. I was starting and not finishing. I was told CPA is a certified public. CPS is a certified public secretary. So I was told as like the job of a CPS is to take care of this is what I was told back then. Like, it was kind of related to law, and anything that had to do with law, I was interested in. So that's why I started doing CPS, which I never finished. And then I went and did human resource because I'm a people person. I like, oh, take care of people's affairs, handle. I like handling people. So I felt human resource was really good for me, like kutetea watu or something. That's how I knew it back then. I never finished. And the interesting thing, the school that I was doing human resource in, I also did computer. I did several courses that I never finished. So I don't even have the documents for them. When I was doing human resource, that the building that I was doing human resource in, that same building had a fashion school. So whenever we would go to school, which was like our classes were higher up, and then the fashion school was on a lower floor. Sometimes maybe the lift is not working, so we were forced to take the stairs. So as we would take the stairs, I would see this fashion school. I would see the clothes displayed on the mannequins, and I would see Vera Beauty College, and I was like, wow! I was so intrigued. I was really intrigued by the clothes and the school. And something clicked inside me, and I was like, I don't want to do human resource anymore. I want to go to fashion school. And so I went and convinced my parents, and they reluctantly agreed. And I went to Vera. I talked to the administration, and I joined Vera, and I was very happy there. I enjoyed the the little time I spent in fashion school. So I enjoyed it a lot. And within the first few weeks of school, there was a competition in school, competing like I was a first year. So the first years, we were all competing with first year, second year, third years, until the last year. I don't know if it's fourth or fifth year, but we were all competing. And something that I noticed, my dress won, the dress that I designed. I was not really very good at sewing, but I had some help. But whatever I designed, whatever I came up with, won. And when it won, I was like, I just came to school the other day. I'm competing with people who have been in school for several years, and my dress is winning. So in my head, I told myself, I don't need to be in school. That was a very stupid move. Very stupid move. Like, who does that? So it's like, I don't really need to be in school, because if my dress can win, it means I can just, start being a fashion designer. That's what I convinced myself. And so I went back and talked to my parents. Actually, that time, I talked to my dad, because my dad was the one who was paying for me. And I told him, don't waste I actually remember saying, do not waste money paying for fashion school anymore, because I want to start practicing fashion and start making money. So instead of you paying school, I want to start practicing fashion. I remember seeing that. And by that point, I think my parents were just like, they're not really happy about that. They were not happy about that. Yeah. So that's kind of like a history of my school life up to there. Let me tell you how I became a single mom. So I don't know if I was still going to college or not at that time, but I met this guy. He was older. So he was older. He was much, 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 much older than me, old enough to be my dad by then. No, I do not have a kid with him. Relax. Relax. So this man was much older, and we met at a restaurant. I was with a friend. We were hanging out at a restaurant, and he was there, and he was really staring at me the whole time. And so he gave me his card, and I noticed on his card it was written Hon, Hon, then his name, Honorable dash dash. And I was like, oh, he's a member of parliament, or he must be a minister or something. So I think I decided to Google him or something. I Googled him or searched for him on Facebook, and yeah, he's a member of parliament. He was a member of parliament. And my friend and I had made a kind of an agreement. Is it an agreement, a pact, a vow? My friend and I had told each other, actually, my friends and I had told each other, we were never going to date married men. We were never going to date men who are older, like whether they are married or not. We are never going to date, like, maybe in your 20s and you're dating somebody in their 40s and 50s. We had said we are not going to do older men, married men, people's husbands. That was our limit. That was our limit. Yes, we were doing other things, but that is something I remember categorically. We sat down and told ourselves, we are never going to do this. So when this man came along, and I was with that friend of mine who we had agreed we are never going to do it. So I was like, this is something we had said that we are never going to do. And I basically, so this man, we started talking on the phone, and he started telling me his wife is always abroad in Dubai. His wife is a businesswoman. She's always abroad. His children are abroad. They are studying. He's alone in this big mansion, and he's really lonely. He just needs like a young woman to keep him company, and he's going to take care of the young woman. Now me, he's going to take care of me. I'm going to take care of my needs. And when it's time for me to get married, he's going to hand me over. He's going to let me go, But as I wait for a husband, or as I wait for someone he used to say these words, as I wait for someone to marry me, he doesn't mind being there. He doesn't mind me being his girlfriend. And I was like, what is this? So we started going on dates, like public place, restaurant, lunch kind of thing. And because he was a member of parliament, he used to meet a lot of people. Like there are times he would tell me, meet me at this and this time. And if you meet him at the time, and after like 30 or 40 minutes, he's like, your time is up. And you look behind there, like a bunch of people waiting to talk to him. So he was really busy. The fact that he was busy saved me, because He was always busy, so you'd always meet like in public places. Let's do coffee, and even when we were doing coffee, like we would meet in a very like nice hotel, like nice restaurant. We would do coffee. He was always there with like his age mates, and they were always talking about politics. They were laughing, talking about politics, and I would be bored. I would be really bored. So we didn't rush the whole thing. So I remember at this particular point, my birthday came. My friends and I went out. I didn't put on like the normal skimpy, you know, club clothes. That instead I wore an African Ankara print dress that was my design. Yeah, I wore something very cute and it was my design and it was kind of shimmery, but it was an African print. It was really cute. But there was this particular guy who was like, I really like your dress. I really, and I was like, I made it. It was like, oh, wow, that's impressive. We exchanged numbers. When we exchanged numbers, fast forward, we were chatting, we were talking. He would invite me out. I think I wouldn't show up. He would invite me out. Yeah, that's what I remember. So there's this particular day that I was with this older guy in I think we were having coffee with his older friends and I was really bored. I was really bored. And I started chatting with this younger guy that I met on my birthday. And he was like, where are you? I'm like, I'm at this and this place. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, come over to this place. He said, come over. He mentioned the name of a mall, but I didn't know that was the name of a mall. I thought maybe it's a restaurant or something. It was like, come over to this place. I don't want to mention the place. It's like one of the big malls in Nairobi. So he told me, come over to the mall. So in my head, I was like, I'm gonna meet him in a maybe this is our first date or something. But it was quite funny thing. I didn't know how far the place was. The place was like those sides of, so it was getting late, number one, and I had not estimated how long it would take for me to get there. So I said, you know what? Let me ditch this older man who's married, who I don't even like. Let me give my attention to this younger guy who's my age mate, who's, a better prospect, a better option. So I started going. I left the guy. I was like, I'm going home. So I went to meet the younger guy. The place was far because I did not know how far it would be. I got there. It was late, number one. It was so late. I was like, yo. Anyway, I got there and we met. And to my surprise, instead of us hanging out at the mall, he told me, let me take you somewhere. I was like, okay. And I followed him. We got to a taxi and we went somewhere. It was a really short distance and we got to a place. I saw residential homes, like really huge residential homes, like mansion type of stuff. And we stopped at a particular gate and we went in and he took me. We didn't go. I saw there was a compound and there was the big main house, a big house, like a mansion. And then on the side, there was a smaller house, like a smaller house. So we went to the smaller house. And so in my head, I assumed that this guy is renting a house. You know, the way people can rent out the SQ. So I assumed he's renting out the SQ because, to be honest, this guy was very humble, very calm, down to earth kind of man, very humble man. So we went and then we started talking and talking and talking. And in my head, I was just asking myself, how did we go from meeting at the mall, like to now I'm in his house and it is very late? And I was just asking myself, how did I end up here? 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 I kept asking myself, how did I end up here? I was escaping the older man and then I ended up in this house. So we had dinner, and then when we had dinner, I kept looking at the time and I was like I was just imagining going back home. And I think back then, or Uber's really there. Uber was this is like 12 years ago. Is it 12, 13 years ago? I don't know if Ubers were there. I can't remember, guys. I can't remember. But like I started calculating in my head, if I want to start going back home now, what time will I get back home? So I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna stay over, but I'm not gonna do anything with this man. So that's how my sexual relationship started. And so I would go to his house. He would call me. I would go to his house. He would call me. I would go to his house. And at this point, I think I started ignoring the older guy because now I was convincing myself, I'm now in a relationship with a younger guy. Thank God. Now I'm telling myself I can now ignore this older man. Yeah, push him at the back. So one thing led to another, and I noticed I was pregnant again. So I told the guy that I was pregnant, and he was like, "What?" She was like, "Why? You're too young. We are too young to be parents." Something inside me, like I was very adamant. I've like I was very adamant. Something inside me just told me, "Don't worry. Don't dare abort this child. Forget about this guy. Don't worry. Everything will be fine." Something inside me just told me everything will be fine. Don't you dare abort. In my heart, I felt that. But now, as I'm talking to him, I was really hurt. I cried like I cried. I really cried, and I called my friend, and I told my friend, "Let's meet." And I remember we met at Uhuru Park. I'll never forget. I met my friend at Uhuru Park, and I cried my eyes out some more. And my friend really encouraged me. She was like, "You know what? Don't worry. We're going to go and talk to his parents. We're going to do this, blah, blah, blah." And she really encouraged me. But I was adamant I'm not going to have an abortion. That one I was adamant. So, to make a long story short, I was like, "You know what? I can do this. I'm going to do this. I can do this." There's something very weird that was happening at home. I don't know why, but my mom used to say, "Aki natamani mtoto, natamani mtoto mdogo, natamani mtoto mdogo." Like she was craving having a baby around in the house. I don't know why she was saying that. Mom, if you watch this, you remember you used to say that. She kept on saying that she's craving having a baby around, having a baby. And I was like, why was mom saying that? Like she would say, like, it was weird. Like she was have, I think she was having baby fever. I can't find a better way to put it. So I didn't tell my parents I was pregnant. I was secretly carrying the pregnancy, going out with my friends, hanging out with my friends. So I was still living my life, but I was very disturbed. I was very disturbed. Um, Sometimes I would have conversations with him, and there's a day that he told me that, "You know what? If you decide to keep the pregnancy, you're on your own. Like you're on your own. I can't do this. My parents are gonna be disappointed in me." And that's when he even told me, "By the way, I even still have a girlfriend, and we've been in a relationship for many years, and my parents will be disappointed." Blah blah blah. My parents know, like our parents know each other. It's a really serious relationship. And then I was like, "Okay, okay, okay." He told me, "If you keep the baby, you're on your own. But if you choose not to keep the baby, you and I can continue." I asked myself, continue with what? Continue with waiting. Waiting. Oh, wow. Anyway, actually, as I'm talking about this, it's like I'm reliving the experience. So I'm getting a little bit agitated, but it's okay. I'm getting agitated. I'm not going to lie. I remember clearly I took precaution, but I still got pregnant because you know what? This child of mine was a child of destiny. He's a very special boy, to be honest. My son is, I won't talk much about him, but maybe in future, a very special boy. My stomach just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and my mom was just looking at me. I don't know at what point my mom realized I was pregnant, but like I was not telling her that I'm pregnant. And she was not asking me, "Are you pregnant?" Of course, she had noticed. Of course, she's a mother. She had three children. She had noticed I'm pregnant. So it's like she's waiting for me to tell her, and I'm waiting for her to ask me. And we're just living in the same house. So I think I got to, is it 6 months? And where I was just like now too big. And my mom is a very calm, she doesn't talk much. She's a very calm person. One day my mom just came up to me and told me, "Sasa itabidi uanze kwenda clinic. Itabidi uanze kwenda clinic sasa." And she meant it's now time for me to start going for antenatal. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then she took me. She took me. The first hospital we went to, I started feeling nauseated and I knew that there was something wrong with that hospital. And funny thing, up to date, that hospital has a bad name. So we went to a different hospital and I got tested and everything. And I opened up to my parents and I told them, I can't remember if I told them I was on my own or I told them the man was not interested. But the thing that I remember about that pregnancy, my parents were so supportive. And you know, this is happening, and my dad is a pastor and has a church and a congregation. But my parents, I feel like there's something on my mouth. My parents were so supportive. Like, my parents were supportive to the point where my dad would be in town, like running his own errands, and he would call me up and he would be like, do you have your passion juice? Because I had cravings. Like I loved passion juice a lot. I would drink Del Monte passion juice like crazy. Like especially the passion. Was it passion? There was passion mixed with another fruit. I used to love that mix, and I used to love Indomie. I used to take Indomie every night, and I used to love drinking Daima milk, like specifically Daima milk. I used to love it. So my dad would call me, "Hey, Michelle, do you have this? Do you have this?" Like he would make sure that the cravings, I have all my cravings. And I was like, "Yeah, daddy, I have." "Oh, I don't have this." Is like, "Okay, I'm bringing it for you." And then I remember like my mom went for shopping and my mom really shopped for the baby, bought a lot of clothes for the baby. I even remember we got paint, we repainted the room, like I remember, I love painting the wall. I know how to paint. So I remember I painted that room when I was pregnant. I think my dad helped me. So we were like preparing the room, painting the walls. My mom got new bed sheets because the baby, like God, she got new bed sheets for me because, the baby would be sleeping on my bed. She just got so many things for me. And I remember my friends planned, the same friends, like these friends, they are good. And okay, I can't say they were bad because they were only teaching me what they knew and they were only giving me advice in accordance to what they thought was best. My friends planned a baby shower with my mom, really supportive during that time. So they planned a baby shower, and my dad knows me. If you want to plan a surprise for me, don't tell my dad because my dad will tell me. My dad will tell me because my dad knows me. Like, when you're pregnant, like you're heavily pregnant, you don't care about your hair, you don't care, like you're big, you're swollen, your nose is swollen, your feet are swollen, your body is swollen. Like, the last thing you're going to think about is doing your hair. That's the last thing you're going to think about. And my dad knows me. My dad knows that I hate when people find me, like when people see me in that state. And my dad knew these people were going to find me in the house looking funny. So my dad warned me and he gave me money. He told me, go and do your hair. People are planning to surprise you. So he gave me money. And then I went and did my hair. I went and did my hair. Then I now had to pretend that I don't know. So my dad told me, don't act like you know. Like don't tell them that you know. But just go and do your hair and act surprised, okay? So I went and did my hair. And so my friends came and they surprised me. Surprise! And I was surprised and it was awesome. They brought me so many things. They brought me so many things. My cousins were there also, my cousins and my friends. Okay, I don't still have the same friends because God has done some things in my life. Amazing. So they came and it was awesome and we had a good time and they brought me gifts. They brought me really nice gifts that would actually help me, really helpful for the baby. And I remember time came and it was almost time for me to give birth. My mom was there for me. And I remember the thing that really touched my heart. My mom actually took a leave. I think she took a leave. I don't know if it's a month or some weeks, but according to my memory right now, I feel like it was a month. She took leave just to help me take care of the baby. Can you imagine that? So I went to the hospital, I delivered, and I was a bit conflicted because I was like, do we contact this man? And should my mom contact the mom of the guy? Or it was a lot. So I was trying to keep my peace. I was trying to maintain my peace of mind by staying away from this person. But at the same time, there are questions. There are questions. My mom was like, let's go, let's see him. If he's too immature to handle this because he's apparently lives with his parents, let's go and talk to the parents and let them know what's going on. And I was reluctant at first, but at the end, I gave my mom his mom's number. So I got his mom's number from his younger brother. When everything exploded, I took the number from the younger brother because I felt I would need that number one day. So I took the number. So I decided to give the number to my mom. So when I gave the number to my mom called his mother, talked, and my mom introduced herself. And my mom told her everything that, your son and my daughter, everything. I think this phone call happened before I gave birth. I think it happened before I gave birth. I think it was before. It was before. Yeah, it was before I gave birth. So the mother was like, "It's okay. You people can come. You're welcome to come, and we can sit down and talk with Mzee, like now his dad." But Mzee is not very happy because even my own daughter now had. Let me explain this. So you see the man, my baby, the man that got me pregnant, his sister had also gotten pregnant out of wedlock. So the dad had just exploded and there was a big explosion. Like the dad was super angry. There was a whole drama in the house. So now the mother was telling us that had just happened, but the mother told us we are welcome to go. And I later found out that it's actually true. The sister was pregnant. So the dad had just found out that the daughter was pregnant. Now imagine us going there and telling the same man who had exploded that, oh, your son got another girl pregnant also. And she told us we are welcome to go and sit down and talk. But she had already warned us of the situation at hand. And after the conversation, I told my mom, no, we're not going to go there. Let's forget about them. Let's forget, we're not going to go there. We're not going to do this. No, 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 no. We just forget about them and we moved on with our lives. And my mom took good care of me. When my baby was really young, I remember my mom got some money. I think she retired or something. She got some money. It's crazy. There was a conference in church. I started going to church with my baby. At first, I didn't want to go to church with my baby, but my dad was like, "No, don't feel bad, don't feel ashamed. Just go to church." And I started going to church with my baby. My dad is the pastor. I've given birth out of wedlock, and I was just feeling awkward. I was feeling strange. But when I went to church, the people at the church, most of them really embraced me. I even remember during church services, I would never carry my own baby because my baby would be carried by this usher, this sister, that sister. They all loved him. And it just made things so much easier. People from church would buy gifts for my baby. This time there was a conference in church. I don't know if it was in church. And there was this particular pastor. He was from Nigeria. He gave me a prophecy. He told me by September you're going to receive, I can't remember the exact words, but he said by September you're going to receive something from God. She got paid. My mom helped me to open my first business, which was a fashion business. And this thing happened on September. It happened this September. I opened this huge business. And before I opened the business, I had a vision. I was going to sell handbags. I was going to sell accessories like earrings and, jewelry. I was going to sell fabrics. And then I was going to have tailors because I was not really good at tailoring. I was good at designing, but not good at tailoring. So I decided to hire like tailors. So I would get clients and I would draw. Like I was very good at sketching. I was very good at combining fabrics, like coming up with designs and, looking at body types and telling somebody, this is not good for your body type. This is good for your body type. This is not good for your body type. I was really good at that. So I just needed someone to make the clothes for me. So before I opened the business, I remember I took one handbag and took it to my grandmother on my mother's side. And I took another handbag and took it to my grandmother on my father's side. And the crazy thing is that I don't know if they both came and visited us at different times. And I would give these two grandmothers one handbag each. And I was telling them to speak a blessing into my life, to speak a blessing into the business. And they would do that. And when they did that, I tell you guys, when I opened that business, first of all, it was a very good place and it was a very huge room. And the business was making money like crazy. The business was making money. The business was making money. I remember I would go to the shop, I would work for a couple of hours, and then I would run back home to breastfeed, because like the milk would be so much that I would be in pain, because back then the baby was so young, he was very small. So I would go to work, I would work, and then I would rush back home. It was not so far. It was just around where we used to live. So I would go back home and I would breastfeed my child, and that's how I was able to like take care of myself. And time went by, it's forward. I'm doing well. And I don't know how we reconnected, but we reconnected. I reconnected with this man. And I remember that time, my son was like 2 years old. He then told me, I remember he told me when the baby, when the boys, when the boy needs to start school, let me know because I want to take care of his education. I want to pay his fees. I want to take him to school. And I was like, okay, that's cool because this man, their family owns one of the biggest schools around, like chains of schools in this country. The family owns one of the biggest chains of schools in this country, in Kenya. So he told me that when my son, when he's ready for school, I should tell him he will take care of the boy's education. I was like, cool. Right now, that now is not the time. He's still too young. When the time comes, I will let you know. And we parted ways, and like, at least I have an assurance he's going to take care of the boy's education. So I didn't have any need to talk to this man. I told myself I'm going to contact him in 2 years because back then children were starting school with at 4 years, 3 years, but I felt he should start at 4. So I told myself in 2 years I'll contact him and the boy will start school because I don't have any need to talk to him anyway. So at this point, money was flowing and everything was going on well. I was still with the same friends. Now comes the story of online dating. So now I'm a single mom, and in the African setting back then, I felt like I don't have much options when it comes to dating. And there was this thing that was going on. Like a lot of girls back then were going online and they were finding foreign men, and they were actually getting married. Yeah, it was happening a lot. So I visited one of my relative's house, and then one of the sisters had met a man online, a foreigner, and they became very serious and everything was going on well. I don't know if by that time they'd already gotten married or something. So it's like we were all like trying to follow her footsteps because she's somebody that we really admired. So me and the sisters and a different person, a different cousin. So that's where I learned about dating sites and all those things. So, like, this is just a normal dating site, not sexual stuff, just a dating site. Back then, they were actually making sense. Back then, they were not bad. They had not been like infiltrated or spoiled or anything like that. So I learned about dating sites in that house. So when I went back home, I actually discovered that one of my neighbors, so I talked to her and actually realized that she actually knows about the same dating sites. There was this particular one that was really credible, like it had a lot of success stories. There was this notion that foreign men, mostly like Caucasian men, foreign men, they don't really mind if a woman has children because we had seen many women, many single moms getting these foreign men and they were getting married and their lives were okay and the men were very good to them. You see, for an African man to marry a single mother, it would like take the hand of God. But for a foreign man to marry a single mother, it was not a big deal. And it was happening left, right, and center. And the women seemed to be very happy in the marriages, and their children were well taken care of. So that's what pushed me into this dating site thing. But I told myself, I'm going to go there and I'm going to have strict rules. I even made sure the outfits that I posted, I always posted clothes that I have made, like the long African dresses, like fancy, like nice things. So I always posted all my pictures were clothes that I had made. I made sure that I was intentional about it. And the reason I did that, I told myself, if I dress like this and I post myself, the man that's gonna be interested in me is gonna have a particular mindset. Like they're gonna be a bit more serious with themselves. I wanted the right kind of attention, so I went in there with a strategy. By that point, I was really serious about settling down and being serious with my life. I posted the photos and I started chatting with some people. And while I would chat with people, the moment a man would just mention anything sexual, I would block them because I knew that was not going to go anywhere. And me, I was there for, like, I was serious. I was there for serious business. I was there for marriage, settling down, just being serious. So there was this particular person I met, and he was from Norway. I remember he was from Norway. And when we started chatting, We started chatting. The thing happened so quickly. It was so crazy. It was very crazy how things happened. I think we started chatting on a Friday, and I think, wait, from the time we started chatting to the time that he decided to come to the country, 2 weeks did not even, I don't even think it was 2 weeks. It did not lapse. So he came to the country and he came to see me. And he was really like, he was really, I don't know how to put it. He was not a city boy. He was from the countryside.